All right, welcome to episode one of the AI Fitness Built to Last podcast. Joining me is my guest from the Chronic Club, Molly Whitfield. How's it going, Molly?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thanks for being here. This is kind of our first episode, so lots of technical glitches and fun. So I'm just gonna pretty much ask you some questions. We'll have kind of a conversation. So I know that myself, I have autoimmune disease, ankylosing spondylitis. I know that you have pretty much the same thing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so when did that start for you? When did you kind of first realize that, something was off or something was kind of not normal, so to speak?
Yeah. So I'm currently a junior in college, and I'd say around the end of my senior year of high school, I started experiencing really bad back pain, and I've always been super active. I was a dancer all throughout high school, so it wasn't out of the ordinary for my body to be sore. But this was different, as I'm sure you know. When that pain kind of hits, it is different than being sore or, tweaking your back. I was getting really into weightlifting towards the end of high school as the season was kind of wrapping up of high school sports. And I realized that my back was really hurting and started going to see chiropractor, all of that. And then I left for college and I kind of just moved on from it and thought it was a weird issue that was going on.
Yeah, that's crazy because that's kind of how it started for me too. I remember I just like and I did the same thing. I started seeing a chiropractor. Um, do you have any other like pain going on, like like headaches or migraines or anything weird like that with it?
Headaches.
Yeah,
Yes, um, that pa past January, I'd gotten mono, which kind of triggered like a bunch of headaches and migraines after that. And then like 3 months after that was when the back pain started. And the headaches just never went away. I still wake up every single day with a headache. Every single day I take Advil, and my rheumatologist knows this, and he obviously advises against the taking ibuprofen every day, but if I don't, I my body's just adapted to it at this point, which sucks, and it is really sad, but there's just I don't know what else to do about it.
right. Yeah, it's really tough because especially in the early stages, I know for me it took me maybe a year and a half to kind of get diagnosed. Did you have a similar experience? Was it kind of like a mystery to your providers or doctors in the beginning?
Yes. It took me 3 years to get diagnosed. So I didn't get diagnosed until September of this year.
Wow.
I had met with the first time I went in, I met with a back surgeon and he prescribed me muscle relaxers. And of course, that did nothing. And since it was such a mystery, I kept working out. I still work out, but it would come and go. And at the time, I didn't know what a flare was. I didn't know it was a flare because it would get better and I would have no pain. I would be like, oh, it's better. It's healed. I don't need, I can cancel that doctor's appointment. Like, I'm fine. That this is just a weird thing happening in my young adult years. And then it came back and finally this spring I had tried all the doctors. I had tried orthopedics, chiropractors, getting massages, stop weightlifting, just do cardio. Don't do cardio, just strengthen your back muscles. And I was
Right.
like, I'm done. I am done playing around. I'm going to figure this out.
Right, right. And then from there, I'm assuming I'm assuming at some point you probably got referred to a rheumatologist or got in
Yeah.
contact with one.
Yeah, I had, so this past summer, beginning of the summer, I went in and they ordered me an MRI, which at this point is my was my 12th MRI I had done.
Yikes.
And I had one in the spring and I went in while I was in pain. They ordered the MRI for the next week, and I had figured out my pattern by then, and I said to the doctor, "Well, next week I'm not going to be in pain. Is it going to affect the MRI if I'm not in pain?" And he told me no. It's if something's wrong, it's going to show up whether you're in pain or you're not in pain. And I was like, okay, so I did it. Of course, nothing came back. Summer rolls around. I go to a new doctor. And I say the same thing to him, and he's like, it really shouldn't change it, but we'll just do it. And the next week, this was on a Tuesday, I get the MRI at like 6 p.m. I'm the last person in the building, and I was in pain during this MRI, and the technician walks in and says, okay, I'm gonna help you up and you're gonna get your results right now. Which, as someone who's had so many MRIs, I know that they typically make you come back to get your results. You don't get them right away. And so
Right.
I was like, okay, something is weird. And she helped me up from the table. And it is like 7:30 p.m. and it is me, the doctor, and the technician in the clinic, and that is it. And he comes in and he's like, we're doing your blood work and we're doing it right now because there's a lot of fluid and inflammation in your back. And I was like, okay. And he sends in some nurses that were still there. None of them, four nurses tried to get my veins. None of them could get my veins, which is a very normal thing for me. So I wasn't surprised. And they were like, okay, just come back, go to the lab tomorrow. They'll do it there. And the doctor comes in with a big ultrasound machine and was like, no, this girl's getting her blood taken right now and I'm gonna do it. And he gels up my arm, he finds my vein and he does it. And then he's like, okay, you tested positive for the HLA-B27 gene, and I'm going to refer you to a rheumatologist, and I'm going to have you do this neck and back strength program, and all this, like, the ball just started rolling right then and there. And it took me 2 months to get into the rheumatologist, but in that gap between that appointment and the rheumatology appointment, they had set me up with this neck and back strength program that kind of strengthened the muscles around the sacroiliac joints, which did ultimately help the time between flare-ups. It made it less frequent, which was amazing.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, but it's crazy. I find the more, and I don't really talk to a lot of spondies or people with autoimmune because
Yeah.
it's so rare, but I find that's very common that it's just takes so long to get diagnosed. I mean, I was blessed. I was working as a network engineer, and one of my clients was a rheumatology clinic, and I was just, my boss was just like, "Hey, get this guy in here." So not a lot of people go through that. They usually have to go through the system like you did, get the referrals, all that nonsense. So, were you able to get on like biologic treatments after that?
Yeah, I'm on Humira. So he first, because like insurance is so weird,
Right.
prescribed me with some steroids, some more steroids, and muscle relaxers. So it's Celebrex and meloxicam, which I didn't take because I've been prescribed them before. And the way he explained it, he was like, we're just filling it in so I can tell insurance that we tried this and it didn't work, so she needs Humira.
Okay.
They ended up prescribing me the Humira. I got approved. So now I've been on that for about 2 months and it's been pretty good.
Good. Good. Yeah, I know. Yeah, for me, they got me on the biologics. I do Symphony Aria, um, and as yeah, I know that especially with ankylosing spondylitis, you deal with that kind of fusion of the spine and calcium production. So from what I'm told, the biologics are good with kind of helping that. Have you discovered anything else kind of in your day-to-day life or activity levels that can help you kind of calm down your immune system, be it, exercise, meditation, I don't know, anything like that?
Yeah, well, trying to do this thing where 1 month I I've let me start that over.
Sure.
I've realized everyone kind of like wants their health and their glow up to come right away and fix it all at once, do the diet, do the working out, do all I've done that all. It does not work. So I've been trying it from a new angle of 1 month at a time, I'm gonna focus on something new. And slowly all of these habits are gonna all these positive habits will build up on top of each other. I've always been really good about working out. But it's hard because I'll be running on the treadmill, going for a walk, lifting weights, and then all of a sudden my body will be like, no, you're done. No more.
Right,
My back's in pain. And I'm like, okay, well, that concludes today's workout.
right, right.
Um, so I've started keeping track of that. I've noticed when I don't eat gluten, it helps a lot. That is something
Interesting.
that has been a big like change for me. I'm not the best at it. That is something I'm working on, but it helps a lot.
Yeah, I've heard that yeah, I know gluten's inflammatory, sugar, processed sugar, ultra processed food. I know for me, I tried, every diet there was, like low FODMAP
Yeah.
diet, autoimmune protocol diet. I remember getting really frustrated because this is kind of another thing I want to ask you about. Do you find like I always call people vultures that are just kind of, on forums or support groups or whatever, just like, well, I switched to this diet and my inflammation is
Mhm.
gone and I don't do biologics and all that. Have you ever
Yeah.
run into like misinformation or people, scammers or things like that?
Oh yeah. Well, as you've seen, I've kind of started the Chronic Club community and it's grown a lot and there's multiple platforms of people that I have groups with that talk every day. And every once in a while, because it's open, I never want it to be something that's closed off, which has its positives and negatives. But I have people that have come in and been like, well, I did this and that, and this is what helped. And if you're coming from, it's like anything. If you're coming from a place of, well, this is what helped me, and you're trying to help others, fine. But pushing it on someone and telling them this is what's gonna help and this is what's gonna change, I've been like, nope, you're done, you're gone. And I get a lot of DMs that are like, hey, I've seen that you've done this. Like my brother-in-law did this and that, and I'm like, that's great, but you're not gonna be getting a response from me because I I've dealt with it for 3 years with trying every diet and every exercise and stretching it out and it's anxiety and it's this and it's that and he found what worked for him and I'm happy for him, but I'm learning what's working for me. And if I want to try something new that worked for somebody else, I can try it, but nobody's gonna make me or somebody else try something because it worked for them.
I hear you absolutely on that. Yeah, there's just I feel also I find this is common. A lot of us we kind of try every single thing there is under the sun to, kind of alleviate the inflammation, the pain, the symptoms, what have you. So I mean, I've tried just about everything, chiropractic, lots of different treatments. So let me ask you, what's like, I guess the most unconventional or kind of the weirdest thing you've ever been told to try or have tried?
Oh gosh. I I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, I've never really been told anything unconventional. Um, I I've really just gotten like the generic like stretch it out, do this. I'd say probably the weirdest thing, and just because I had never heard of it before, was a TENS unit on my back. So kind of that like electro shock therapy.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, like the E-stim.
Yeah, which is fine, but I don't really think it's anything crazy. I think I've kind of just come up with my own remedies that work for me, And I think that's just what everyone has to do because we might have the same thing, but what I do to fix it and what you do to fix it, I mean, not fix, but just like alleviate the pain is going to be completely different.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think any kind of this autoimmune stuff, it feels to me, I used to kind of think it was the same for everybody, and there are similarities, but excuse me, do you feel in your experience, because I know you talk to a lot more autoimmune people through the chronic club, do you find that everybody is just like a little bit different with it?
Yeah, and I have learned so much about different autoimmune diseases, and I see the differences between everyone, even if they have the same, but also the very parallel things between all of them too. Like there are so many similarities and connections between all of the diseases, but the symptoms and the way we go about it is so different.
That's kind of what I'm finding, especially speaking with you and kind of doing some of the chats with the other members. Um, let's talk about the Chronic Club because I know with me, I'm, sort of fitness oriented, but I'm trying to kind of connect with more, autoimmune, arthritis, that type of stuff. And I came across you on TikTok and the Chronic Club. I saw you were making these cool, like custom design hoodies. Tell me about, you know, what kind of inspired you to start the Chronic Club and kind of how it happened.
Yeah. So I it it kind of came out of nowhere. It was very intentional, but also very random. I think a lot of it came from the frustration of how long it took to get diagnosed and then being diagnosed and nobody around me understanding. And I was really frustrated at first because I was like, what? It took me so long to get diagnosed. Everyone around me is like, do this, do that. Oh, yeah, I have back pain too. Oh, I have fatigue too. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, no, like, no, you do not understand what I'm saying. And I went to like find you know, you start doing your research, you start looking things up, and I saw like a few other people on TikTok and I was just like, "Oh, cool, yeah, I'll follow. Like this is funny, this is relatable. I get this. Like I get what this person's saying, but like I can't make these jokes to anybody else because nobody else would get it." And I just randomly posted a TikTok one day. It was like midnight and I was laying in my bed and I was like, "Oh, this audio is funny. Let me just like put a little thing over it." And it blew up and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And then I just kind of started posting like I've always been a super positive person. I've never really let it negatively affect me. So I was like, all these pages are really depressing and
Yeah.
sad. Like this is really like this makes me sad. And I was like, and that's not me. And so I was like, what about a place that's like making this is never gonna go away for any of us. Whether we go into remission or not, we've all dealt with it. This is our life. Let's vibe with it. Let's make jokes that it's hard sometimes because I don't wanna be sad about it. I don't wanna, I have my sad days, but I'm not gonna dwell on it. These are the cards I was handed, and I'm gonna make the best out of it. And then people really started DMing me and just being like, "Thank you so much for posting this stuff. Like, you have no idea. Like, y the way you make light of this and the jokes is so relatable, and nobody else is doing this. Everyone else is posting these sad audios and sad things, which are relatable too, but it just reminds you of how much it sucks. And I don't want to remind anyone how much it sucks. Because we're living with it. Why do we need to be reminded that it's terrible? And
Yeah.
then I was like, okay, well, let's like, I want to make like a little community because I never had one of people that get it. And they're being 20 and in college, people are not empathetic. They're not thinking of other people. they're not taking consideration why I'm the first one who wants to leave. And so I like that's been really hard for me. And so I was like, okay, I'll just build my own little community. And people really liked it. And then I realized that the TikTok group chats that I was creating, because I have four of them, are capped at 32 people a group. And I was like, well, I want everyone to be able to talk, not just 32 people. There's so many more that we don't like, you guys didn't even know about each other because it's capped at 32. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just make a page. And then I was like at Target one day, and this is really how like kind of the hoodies and stuff happened is I was at Target and I was like, oh, this sweatshirt's so cozy. I'm gonna buy it. It's on sale. And then they randomly had these little letter patches, and I was like, oh, how fun would it be if I made like a little hoodie that said the Chronic Club on it? Like, just for me, not for anyone else.
Yeah.
And then I posted it one day, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, where did you get this? Like, what? And I was like, oh, I made it. And then I was like, wait, I could really make something out of this. Okay. And then I applied for a business license and I got that. Um, and it's been really cool to see. Like, I've seen a lot of new pages that have been started on TikTok. I get a lot of stories, a lot of messages, and I love it. I think the main thing that's really helped me is I never want anyone to feel like I'm selling them something. It's never about a sale. It's not what I came into it for. And I feel like that's where a lot of people go wrong because I've seen other people like trying and stuff and they're really pushing like their products and I'm like, well, no, that's not what this is about. All these people just want a community and a place to share their voice and be seen. And as as a marketing student, I obviously understand a lot of that stuff and I enjoy it. But I was like, that's never what I came here to do. And I'm never gonna make people feel like, please buy my products. Please get this from me. That's why I mean, I'm literally in my apartment right now at school. I make them right here in my living room. It's personal and it's made with love and with community and with the hopes of like, you're with us too.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And yeah, I never got the vibe like you were just like, hustling or anything. I mean, it's like it was like you were I think you were like on TikTok live like making the hoodies when I first saw it. I'm like, "Oh, that's really cool," because I mean, there's not a lot of, swag or merch for people that are like, "Oh, hey, I'm
Yeah.
chronically ill and disabled," and like
Yeah.
and there's definitely not a lot of places where you can talk to other people, like maybe Reddit or forums, but I feel like everybody's just kind of maybe new to it and kind of just dooming a bit and kind of bummed out. And I
Yeah.
found that kind of depressing. But in your chats and community and lives, I feel like everybody's kind of helping each other out. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's, I have felt like this vibe, because I would not consider myself a creator by any means, like at all. I just think it's funny because people DM me and then I always respond for the most part. And people be like, "Oh my gosh, you responded." I'm like, "But yeah, of course I responded." Like I made this because I wanted a community too, not because I wanted to become an influencer. It's because I wanted it. So of course I'm going to respond. This is something I needed too. And I was like, I it makes me sad because I've seen big creators who are now trying to start chronic illness brands and selling hoodies and stuff like that. And I've like tried to be like, hey, let's work on something together. Let's do this. And it's become very much like, no, 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 no. I want to win. I want to be the best. And I'm like, oh, well, I thought we were all one big community. And I thought we're in this together because we're all chronically ill and other people don't get it. And that's fine if you are in some sort of competition with other people who get it, good for you, but that's never gonna be me.
Right. No, absolutely. It's that's one thing I try to do. Like for me it's I've always been really big into weightlifting, right? And I met one other person on a Facebook group, this guy Clint Darden, and he's awesome, strongman athlete, really big into stone lifting, all that crazy stuff, right? And he's like, "Oh yeah, I have AS." I talked to him and I'm like, "Wow, you're still able to do this stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, kind of." So I started getting back
Yeah.
in the gym and now I'm trying to hopefully get more people with arthritis and chronic illness. And I'm not saying, hey, do what I'm doing because I'm kind of crazy, right? But I'm like, here's me, doing a bench press PR. Here's me
Yeah.
doing a PR on deadlift. I'm hoping I
Yeah.
can kind of inspire. If somebody's really into that, I'm hoping I can maybe find a way for them to maybe not go from 0 to 100 doing that, but kind of gradually get into it. Do you do any kind of weight training yourself, or is it mostly kind of
Yeah.
functional exercise?
Um, I'd say it depends on the day. I like t before I came on here, I was at the gym, did some arms today. So I am into weightlifting, not like super heavy. But I do try to go to the gym almost every day. And some days I get there and I'm there for 20 minutes and I'm like, okay, that's all I'm gonna accomplish for the day. But
Right.
other days I could be there for like ever.
Yeah, I know how that goes. Yeah. So yeah, and that's kind of brings me to another point. A lot of people don't realize, I don't know if it's with all autoimmune. I don't know if this is true for you, but I know for me, um, when I rest, if I sleep late, if I wake up in the morning, I just feel like garbage. And then I kind of start moving and start feeling better. Do you have any kind of morning routine or kind of morning ritual that gets you going?
Um, Probably not the most healthy one, but coffee.
Yeah,
Coffee gets me going. I will go to bed and I'm like, can't wait to wake up and get my coffee in the morning.
nice. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coffee
But I don't
coffee's a
have
must.
time in the mornings to like get moving. I have to go to class. Um, but if it was up to me, I would get up, get my coffee, and go for a walk.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, for me, it's like I gotta wake up. First thing I do is feed the cat, get that done with, and then I gotta have breakfast. I gotta have coffee. I gotta do stretching. I take like a friggin' super hot shower. But yeah, that's got to be crazy. So, what's it? Sometimes do you feel like you're like things are just too crazy when you're going to school full time and everything? And do you ever feel just kind of overwhelmed or out of energy with that?
Yes. Yes. That is, I feel like that's something that I've kind of lacked talking about. Um, I am a full-time student. I am a server too. I have the Chronic Club. I make all the hoodies. I've now posted 2 episodes of my podcast. So I am pulled in like 80,000 directions. And I'm applying for internships for next summer. So I am so busy. And I'd say when I first started the Chronic Club, I starting anything, it like is like in the front of your mind at all times. And it was really overwhelming. But now I've kind of gotten into my rhythm and slowed down a little bit. And I'm like, okay, one thing at a time. But there are days where I'm like, oh my God, okay, I don't know if I can do all of this.
Yeah, yeah, I've been there for sure. Yeah, I've um so yeah, unfortunately we're kind of running out of time, so I want to ask you just kind of a couple last questions.
Yeah.
First thing would be, I guess, and you probably this is probably a realistic scenario for you on a daily basis. But if somebody came to you and said, "Oh man, I'm new to this. They diagnosed me with, AS or MS or whatever." Like what would be, I guess, the first thing you kind of told them if they're just like, "What do I do? My life is over, yada yada. I'm really depressed." What would be kind of your starting point as far as something encouraging you could say to them?
Yeah, I would, I always tell people you're stronger than you think, but allow yourself the time to cry, allow yourself the time to rest. I always make time for rest. I nap almost every day. If I don't, I can't even think straight. Um, and I'm just like, you are strong. You can be sad about it, but in the sadness, be like, okay, I'm gonna be sad for this amount of time, and then tomorrow I'm gonna get after it. And the only way to get through it is to go through it. So go through it, feel all the feelings thoroughly. But we've all made it through. We're all making it through. And I'm right there with you to support you, and so is this whole community.
Oh, that's great, man. And yeah, and I wanted to thank you for doing this interview. This is episode one. It's just probably going to be a technical nightmare, but very cool you were able to come here, kind of tell your story. Hoping you and I can both kind of inspire some other people like, hey, you can have a really cool, fun life. You can do a lot of things, be productive. Um, Tell people how they can, I guess, kind of link up with the Chronic Club, how they can connect with you, maybe chat with people, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm living with Molly on TikTok, and I am always very personable and very talkative on there. The Chronic Club has its own page, the Chronic Club on TikTok and Instagram. You can get the hoodies there or through the website, thechronicclub.org. The link in my bio on Living with Molly has the group me for people to join. There's also a Discord. So there's many different ways to connect. Submit your story on the website. It'll get posted for people to see. You can go look at other people's stories and find connections.
All right. Well, sounds awesome. Once again, want to thank my guest, Molly Whitfield, with the Chronic Club. Definitely check her out. Definitely check out the Chronic Club and stay tuned for the next episode.